Hello Garden Schoolers, happy Forest Friday. It is a beautiful sunny day out here. Kind of looking right into the sun. And so I hope you get a chance to go outside and play all day. Let's start with our good morning song. I've been waiting for you to come to this place. Waiting for you to come to this place. Wherever you roam, I'm glad that you come. I've been waiting for you to come to this place. And I have my Beatrice here with me today. We're going to teach you a game that we're going to play, so she's here to help me out. I had a request for the Little Skunk song. So, are you ready? Yeah. Oh, I stuck my head in a little skunk's hole, and the little skunk said, well, that's my soul. Take it out. Take it out. Remove it. Well, I didn't take it out, and the little skunk said, if you don't take it out, you'll wish you had. Take it out. Take it out. Remove it. So, should we take our head out of the hole?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
If my preschoolers were here, they would say, no, put your head back in the hole. Well, I didn't take it out, and the little skunk said, if you don't take it out, I'll spray you in the head. Take it out. Take it out. Remove it. All right, we should probably take our head out, right?
Yeah.
Nah. Never.
Well, I still didn't take it out, and the little skunk said, I removed it.
Mosquito.
Alright, that's a fun one. Alright. Beatrice and I have a game for you today, and this is a game you can play at home with stuff you have. All you need for this game is you need 3 cups that you can't see through and something. So for my something, we're going to use our little plastic cardinal. Some people call this the shell game. And all you do is this. You take the thing and you put it under a cup. We'll start real easy. Beatrice, which cup is it under? Very good. Cover it back up. Now, we make it a little harder, and this is the part where you can try to fool your parents. You can watch if you want, Beatrice. The trick is keeping track of it, even when you're watching. Where do you think it is? Oh, very good. All right, now Beatrice, you mix it up and try to fool me.
I'm going to try to put my parent.
Okay. Let's see.
That gets stuck in
I
the
think
hole.
I lost track there. You know what? It might be easier if we put them on here,
Yeah.
so you can kind of slide them back. Okay. So mix them up. We'll just put them here. All right. No! All right, Beatrice, close your eyes. Oh, wait, where was it? You want to show me where it was? Ah, okay. Close your eyes. Yeah. We'll just do it like this. All right, are you ready, Beatrice?
Yeah.
Do you know where it is?
Mm-hmm. Wait, cup.
Where do you think it is? Oh, very good. All right, you get to do it for me now. Go ahead. All right. No, is it this one? I thought it was this one. So anyways, that's called the shell game, because some people use big seashells to cover the things up. And that's kind of a fun game. So if you're looking for something to do today, that's a fun one to try with your family. Alright, I've got a book for you today. Since we talked about crocheting yesterday and I made those little baby eagles, I thought I would read a book called Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett. And my kids love this story because they got to meet Mac Barnett, who is the author, and he even signed our book. He came to their school. It says, To Beatrice by Mac Barnett, and he signed it, so that's kind of fun. Okay, maybe not too close, not too far. Kind of a trick videoing a book. On a cold afternoon in a cold little town where everywhere you looked was either the white of snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. Everything's kind of black and white in this picture. Reminds me of winter. So she went home and she knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars too. But there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed and said, You two look ridiculous. You're just jealous, said Annabelle. No, I'm not, said Nate. But it turned out he was. And even after she'd made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself and for Mars, she still had extra yarn. The way the yarn is wrapped around these trees reminds me of the time that we went out in the woods and we made spider webs. Do you remember that? At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. Quiet, shouted Mr. Norman. Quiet, everyone. Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach with everyone turning around to look at you. Then I'll knit one for everyone, Annabelle said, so they won't have to turn around. Impossible, said Mr. Norman. You can't.
But she did.
But it turned out she could. And she did. Even for Mr. Norman. That was kind of nice. And when she was done, Annabelle still had extra yarn.
What?
Now, I'll tell you, it takes a lot of yarn to make a sweater. So I'm starting to wonder if there's something kind of magical about this yarn she has that she hasn't run out yet. So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and for Mr. Pendleton, and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Louie. She made sweaters for everyone except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts with the snow up to his knees. No sweater for me, thanks, said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat, and even then, Annabelle still had extra yarn.
What? Oh, this is too confusing.
She made sweaters for all the dogs, and all the cats, and for the other animals too. Soon, people thought, Annabelle will run out of yarn. Look at this. Look at all these animals in their little yarn sweaters. How cute is that? But it turned out she didn't. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. What did she make sweaters for?
Mailbox.
A mailbox, a bird feeder, and the bird, the dog. She made a sweater for the house. That's pretty cool. Things began to change in that little town. News spread of this remarkable girl who had never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from around the world to see all the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. One day, an archduke who was very fond of clothes sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. Oh, doesn't he look fancy? Little girl, said the archduke, I would like to buy that miraculous box of yarn, and I am willing to offer you $1 million. No, thank you, said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The archduke's mustache twitched. 2 million, he said. Annabelle shook her head. No, thanks. 10 million, shouted the archduke. Take it or leave it. Leave it, said Annabelle. I won't sell the yarn. And she didn't. So that night, the archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house. And they stole the box and took it to the archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea. Back to his castle. The archduke put on his favorite song, and sat in his best chair, and then he took out the box and he lifted its lid and he looked inside. His mustache quivered. It shivered. It trembled. The Archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I curse you with my family's curse! You will never be happy again!" But it turned out she was. And look at that, she knit a sweater for the tree. I love it. The end. Well, if we have to continue to stay home for long enough, Miss Helen's house might start to be covered in sweaters. If you go on the internet and you look it up, you can find pictures of people who have knit sweaters for trees and park benches. If you've ever been to the Barrington Library, for a while, they had sweaters around a bunch of their the statues outside. It was kind of fun. So I hope you are all doing well. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Enjoy this weather. We are going to start some seeds for the garden, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.